This is the Texas Land Guys podcast, hosted by brothers Tim Dosch and Tom Dosch. With their partners David Marshall and Trip Rich, they have built DMRE, the leading land brokerage in Texas. With decades of experience brokering deals between landowners and real estate developers, they take you inside the deals that move the market.
Welcome to the Texas Land Guys podcast. We have an exciting episode today. I'm joined by Tim Dosch and a guest, Derek Graber, in our Houston office. Derek, it's good to have you back on the podcast.
Thanks for having me back. Excited to be here. It's going to be a good day. Do some cool stuff.
That's right. This is going to be good. I think we've got a good episode outlined and a lot of interesting deals to talk about, market activity that we're seeing. It'll be mostly focused around Houston. I'll probably interject some of what we're seeing up here in Dallas. But before we do that, we've got the football season back. I think all three of us as Aggies are pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. It's always like you don't want to get too excited because we've had so many disappointing years for a long time now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of Aggies in the office. We were joking around yesterday, and one of the guys said, well, at least hopefully we just get 9 wins this year.
Yeah, that's right. Be like somewhat respectable, you know, which in the SEC is tough.
It is.
At least that's what we tell ourselves, right? It's like there's always has to be some kind of an excuse, but hopefully this will be a better year. I think every year we feel like we have the pieces to put something together, but it just feels good whether the Aggies have a good season or not. It's always fun to have college football back.
So how are the Trojans looking, Tom? Are you following them at all? Or I know they've had some rough stuff happen, but
yeah. So Tim and I grew up big USC Trojan fans just because our grandfather went there, and so it's a little bit hard to be a USC fan in Texas, but I still enjoy watching their games. Although now those games are on at like 10 o'clock at night, so it's getting harder as I'm getting older with the kids. But they've had a rough last couple of years with expectations, and that they were supposed to do so much better with Lincoln Riley coming over from Oklahoma, and so that's been pretty disappointing. So I think the big news in the media around them is Lincoln Riley going to be able to last? Or is he going to have another season, another 7-win season or 8-win season? Because with the kind of money he's making and the recruits and the opportunity, it's just not cutting it. But he's like a lot of these guys, he has a long contract and a huge buyout. And so he has to do pretty poorly for them to move on. I have pretty low expectations. I think the Aggies will probably have a much stronger season, but we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I just love this time of year watching football, and really any of the teams. It's fun just to have a football game on, and
100%.
And you'll see. So my son Luke is 14 and he's playing football. I'm gonna coach him at the school he's at. He's in 8th grade, and then your son is 1 year old.
Yeah.
It'll be fun as you see him grow up and getting to share that together. It's just really fun going to games together, and it's cool.
Yeah, I know. It's been 15 months now, and the last year, just seeing him grow, and we call him Little Rowdy. I think he's just going to be full of energy. He is full of energy, and running everywhere. And I think sports are going to be good for him because he's going to be able to let loose.
And it's fun, like getting to take your son to like an A&M game, especially since both you and Taryn went to A&M. Yeah. It's just a really cool experience, just the culture there and everything that's a part of those games, the core and everything, getting to see all that. So Luke's always loved doing that. We try and make at least a game or two a year.
Yeah,
so
I'm looking forward to it. We'll probably try and make a day game this year with them. Bring it to maybe a little.
The night game's a little bit tough. It could be a little late.
Would be tough, but we'll try and make a day game and get him out there and take some pictures with him, just so one day when he goes.
Yeah,
because he has to go.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. No choice.
So you have like one school you can go to?
Yeah, one school. We could show him the picture of me, Taryn, and him, down in Califield or out tailgating or something. So it's good memories.
A tough school to get into. I mean, I think it always has been, but it just gets tougher every year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I don't know if you guys saw, but Roback just came out with a whole collegiate series for the football season, which is pretty cool. And so the A&M ones are really cool shirts. And I know a lot of people wear those. They have the flag on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Those are pretty popular.
You wear those, right?
Yeah. I've got a few of those.
Well, the A&M ones, it's cool. They have the Kyle Field shirt. So it's like the little Kyle Fields on the whole shirt. And then they have one that has like Reveille and gig 'em and different, and so they have it for a lot of the schools. They actually haven't done USC, which I thought was interesting. But they,
you're looking out for it.
Yeah, I'm looking out for it.
The USC clientele might not really buy Roback. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Seems like more of like an SEC kind of brand,
Yeah. So, but check it out. They're pretty cool. They have like hoodies and polos. But I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to get. But I'm definitely going to get one for the game I go to. I have to ask before we start on just digging into some of these deals. You guys have like 6 drinks there. So what's going on?
I actually had 6 drinks, and I put a lot of them out of the picture so you couldn't see them. I always have like a water, a coffee. I actually have an oxygen drink over here that's like nano oxygen. That's really good just for mental clarity. And then this is Element Tea, which I know, Tom, you use Element Tea. It's a great electrolyte drink. They have these now in the cans. I think you just do the pouches, but they're really good, and it's a little extra sodium, so it's a great way to get hydrated. And we're always looking to perform our best and have clear minds, and especially as you get older, it becomes more of a challenge. So I need all the help I can get.
Well, I guess when you're doing really good on the podcast, we know it's because of the oxygen water.
That's right.
That you're drinking.
That stuff is crazy. I mean, you feel it. It's weird because it's giving you more blood flow, oxygen and blood flow to your brain. So
I need to check that out. I drink a hydrogen tablet every morning. But I haven't done the oxygen water. So
it's the same. It's exactly the same idea as that. It's just oxygen instead of hydrogen. So
good. Well,
should we get into talking about the business?
Let's do it. I thought having Derek on today would be good to highlight a little bit more of just Houston and what we're seeing, what you guys have been working on. And this year has been, I guess it's been the result of a lot of hard work from the last couple of years, because these are some pretty large deals that you guys have closed and are closing. So maybe we kind of start there and get into that. We're sitting 2/3 of the way, or almost 2/3 of the way through the year with this recording, but it's already been a really fast start on just some really large land tracts that have been taken down. And so maybe let's start there.
Yeah, and I would say it's, just to kind of set the conversation, it's been a challenging year because we all started in the first quarter. Things felt really good. Like the market was surging back, all the different use types, won deals. We were loading everybody up. And then, in April, when the whole tariff conversation, really got going, and then the fact that rates have not come down yet, and they may start to come down this year, but that's continued. We really saw the market reset in the second quarter, and it got a lot more difficult. And so I think, with that backdrop, it's pretty impressive, some of these deals that you've closed, Derek, because you've closed some massive deals this year that are big, complicated deals, really every use type, but also these big master plan development deals that are, these groups are making a 15 to 20 year investment, in these areas. So.
Long term, and I can hit off of what Tom mentioned. It was definitely a lot of hard work put in those deals because they're so long. We started working on these deals 3-4 years ago, almost, when I first started. And it's been a testament to see, the business it's long term, and it takes time, dedication, hard work. And I think the cool part is this year I feel like I've got to see a lot of it come to fruition. And see these big transactions happen, and it's been cool to be a part of it. I do think that some of these big deals that have gone forward, they were, like you mentioned, difficult. A lot of negotiations, a lot of going back to the table with sellers, getting more time, trying to renew deals and bring them back to life, and testament to the buyers we work with too.
And you've had challenges with some of the municipalities just being, getting in the way, and, site issues. You have these big sites. There's all kinds of site issues that come up. Obviously utilities are very important. And I remember one of the ones you closed this year. There was a massive master plan community deal. It's been, I think it was a 3-year process, and we kept thinking, like, every Christmas it was like, that deal's going to close. It's going to close into the year, and then like something would happen and get extended, and it just kept getting extended. And what's really impressed me with you is just your attitude, and I think it's important as brokers to have kind of a even keel. Like, I'm going to go work hard every day. I'm not going to get too excited when everything's going my way. I'm not going to get too down when everything's not going my way. And I know that one thing you've encouraged me with is just your faith. And I know there's a lot of prayer that goes into to just thinking about navigating it each year.
Definitely a ton of prayer. I think looking back at all these deals that have happened, it has started there. Every morning, waking up, spending time in the Word, making sure I've got a clear mind to make decisions and help our clients out, and kind of let that guide me, and also what deals to focus on, because there's so much opportunity just in Texas. But in Houston, if you could just be dogged down with so many deals, and you're like, oh, which one should I work on? Which one should I focus on? Who's a real seller? Who's not a real seller? And we have, a list of clients to focus on too. And it's important to make sure we're spending the time with the right group, because, 3 years ago, if we decided to work on that deal with someone else,
it wouldn't close.
It may have not happened, or it, would have dropped, fell out, and maybe we had to go through 3 different buyers to put it back together. And so, I think testament to prayer and just spending time in the Word for guidance on that is huge.
So Derek, let's talk a little bit about the industrial market in Houston and what you're seeing there. Because from Dallas, the activity we're seeing, and from talking to developers up here, we're hearing a lot about Houston. That wasn't something we were hearing as much about probably 12, 18 months ago. So what are you seeing there on the industrial side?
Yeah, no, it's been super interesting. We really started picking up the industrial beginning of 24, and there really wasn't much going on at all. There was a lot of sites out there that were on the market or off market available that were pegged industrial sites. This is an industrial deal all day long, and sellers' pricing expectations were really high, and the industrial buyers, their pricing, they just couldn't make the numbers work. And so over the last probably end of Q4 of 24 and into this year, we've seen pricing basically double. And it's been interesting to see, because as soon as that pricing went up, sellers were ready to sign up deals. And so it was fun to see, because we got to see the shift in the market that quick. And that also shows you to which buyers who are on top of it, because there was like 3 or 4 buyers who were ready to step up and meet those pricing expectations, and even shorter timelines, just because they had capital behind them. They were confident they could get the deal done, and they just saw that there's been nothing happen in the last call it 8 to 12 months. There's going to be a demand for new deals, and so we saw pricing jump from $5-6 a foot, and those sites were almost impossible to come by, especially infill Northwest or South Belt or south of the port. When when it's a good site, there's the sellers know, and from $5 to $6, it's jumped to deals are striking $9-10 a foot, and some even north of that, for specific well located deals with strong rents and just a story behind it. And so I think that's been super interesting, but it happened really fast. And now the sites that were, all low hanging fruit and deals that were ready for people to jump on aren't there anymore. And so I think that it definitely gives us, an opportunity to really go dive into what we specialize in, which is off-market deals.
I mean, I'd say right now there's probably more developers chasing deals in Houston than good deals. I mean, the deals have gotten really thin, and where you really want to be in the best pockets, there's definitely areas that are the kind of the new areas people are going to go to, be pushed to, because there's nothing in the really core areas. But like you're saying, creating sites, assembling, trying to figure out any way you can to sort of shoehorn a deal in. And then, like you're saying, pricing's going up. Sellers are catching wind that the market's shifting. And so if they have a good site, they're going to want a lot of money for it.
Right. And they know that, and they pick up on it quick, because, I mean, they're getting calls every day. I mean, weekly, they're getting calls from brokers or, just unsolicited offers. And so we run into that, on deals, even off-market deals, we're competing. The seller has 4 or 5 offers, and so I think that we've got to move fast, and we've got to move quick. And we were able to, very fortunate to get some really good deals working, and but I think all the on-market deals, they're so much competition, and it's kind of who you know and who wants to move forward on it. But on the off-market deals, that's where we've had most of our success.
And I think you'll start seeing some of these sites, like I'm thinking one specifically that we're working on, where there's a lot of site issues.
Right.
It's a great market, great site, but just there's a reason why no one's developed it. Yeah. And I think those are the kind of deals we'll start seeing groups get creative and figure out, how do we make this happen? Because there's nothing else that we can go do that's as good.
Yeah.
And so we got to get creative and figure out how to solve these development issues. And so I think you'll see some of those deals finally get done that were kind of lingering out there.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, we're talking excess land to, users that have an operation and they've got 10 acres just sitting there, like a laydown yard, and they get offers. They're like, oh, might as well. We'll subdivide and sell it. And so we're targeting deals like that. We're targeting, even existing buildings that may be old, that can, to the land value, it just outweighs that. And so there's a lot of different deal structures we're working on, and it's been interesting to see, and, how creative our buyers can get. And it's been super, super interesting seeing them, perform. And that quickly just shift to where pricing has gotten to. Too. So
it is crazy to see how the market just adjusts. Is that similar, Tom, to what you're seeing in Dallas, or how would you characterize the Dallas market right now for industrial?
Yeah, the Dallas market's very active right now. It's stayed really hot. So I think when Houston probably wasn't seeing as much activity, our market was still very active, and it's been focused on certain areas, kind of the more core areas. That's changed a little bit this year, and there's more appetite to go further out. And it's shifted from, we couldn't really support these huge projects, these big bomber buildings, these million square footers, to most of those now have leased up. And so there's developers chasing those again. And so the Dallas-Fort Worth industrial market remains pretty strong, and our numbers have been good. As you were talking, Derek, I had a question, and it was kind of based around the off-market comment you made a couple times, because I think I get that question a lot, that people that are not in our business will ask, why would someone sell off market? And I think it's a really interesting question. Tim, you lead the listing side of the business in Houston. Derek, you're really leading the buyer representation, where you're out working with these developers to find opportunities. You wouldn't really think in these really good areas, the areas where there's, strong demand and there's going to be a lot of buyers, that if you're a landowner, it would be very smart to sell off market. But you're finding these opportunities. So I think that's really interesting. I mean, can you think of any deals that you recently worked on where it was one of those situations where it was off market, and, had the property gone to market, and we've been listing it on, on our side of the table, just how many more offers we probably would have gotten, or just pricing would have pushed, taking it through our process versus just representing a buyer?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you mentioned, some of the big million square footer deals, and it brought up an interesting comment. We were meeting with the developer yesterday, and they're talking about going out and finding a big deal, and that, out west, further than, infill, Beltway 8, we're talking Grand Parkway now again, which is so interesting. And so specifically, there's one where, looking at, and it's actually owned by a developer, and we just floated the idea by him and said, hey, there's interest out here for industrial, and we know your basis, and this is what industrial groups are paying for 70 to 100 acres. Would you have any interest? And a light bulb went off in their head, and they're like, yeah, actually, that seems super interesting. And so I think that, to answer your question, Tom, that's how we're trying to find these creative deals, is just even ask developer-owned sites where, they've got, call it, anywhere between 400 to 600 plus acres with great access, or, they're going to build a master plan community on, and they can flip off 60, 100 acres and return a ton of capital to either, just their basis, and then kick off infrastructure and start going, which is interesting. So I think that's a pretty unique deal we're focusing on. But other than that, like I mentioned, just the stabilized assets too, and building plays. Just calling them directly, because I think those are overlooked sometimes, and that's why when we bring an offer to the table, we're usually the only one coming in, because everyone's looking for raw land, no floodplain, no issues. And so when we start, really diving in and taking a look at like specific markets and making sure we're not missing anything, that's where we try to add our value.
Uncover every rock in every submarket that you can, and talk to everybody.
Do you want to
it is interesting, Tom, why someone would choose to go take an off-market offer. And in a lot of cases, if they're getting multiple offers, they may feel like there's some level of a process that's happening, even if it wasn't a broker, leading that process. I think, really the quality of that just depends on who's at the table. Because if you have the wrong groups at the table, you could still be off market or missing the market. You could be lower in the market. But if you have a couple of the right groups at the table, then maybe it's a more efficient process and you're getting higher pricing. So we've definitely seen time and time again when we go take something to market, saying these record pricing, on all over the place, suburban sites, infill sites, and we're doing that, on an ongoing basis today. So,
do you want to talk a little bit, Derek, just about how you run the buyer rep side of the business in Houston? Because I think that's very unique. I mean, Houston doesn't have zoning, and so like up here in Dallas, there's not many brokers that are covering so many different product types. And if they are, then maybe they're just dabbling in it a little bit, because most of them are not working on a team. It's very rare that you'd be working on like a team and covering product types.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because buyer rep to begin with is fast paced, and you've got to adjust to the market and who's out there chasing deals and what product types are working. And so I think looking back, call it COVID, and just right after COVID, multifamily was hot, right? And then from there fizzled off. And then we adjusted as a team and realized that the single family MPC developer deals were lights out. And there was so much opportunity around Houston to pursue those deals. And, just kind of stumbled upon it and realized, okay, we need to start being on the lookout ahead of time when these market shifts are happening, and making sure our efforts are focused on the right deals and the right product type. And so I think, we meet all the time as a team. We're talking to a ton of different buyers every week, all use types. And so we're hearing from them, we can't get capital, or yes, we can get capital, and this is where we're focused on. And so, transitioning till just this year, multifamily was at the end of Q4 last year and early this year, there was a ton of positivity, and everyone, kind of touched on earlier, but everyone was looking for deals, and they still kind of are. But then immediately, boom, industrial shifted. And as a team, we had to pivot. We're like, okay, guys, we need to focus a lot more our research efforts right now on industrial, because we're getting the most offers a week on industrial. We're seeing the quickest, return rate from, call it LOI to contract stage. And they're quicker deals too. And so I think, we have to meet weekly, almost daily. We're always talking about deals, looking at the map, and then also just making sure we're on top of who the right buyers are, and making sure too the right use size, because it shifts fast. And if we're, just a month behind, we can miss out on 4 or 5 deals.
And even the crazy thing is in a hot market, we've talked about so many times being an hour behind. Yeah, I mean, there's times when things are hot and moving, and it's like, on a Friday, if you wait, go to lunch and don't show someone a site, come back and 2:00 show it to them. It's like, oh yeah, someone said that to me over lunch. And it's like, what, I mean, that happens.
We've had it happen to us. I mean, this week someone's like, your ears must have been burning. Like, this site was just sent to me, but we sent it immediately. Wow. And it's like, okay, now we got to make sure. And it's just sometimes you're just
speed is so important.
Speed is killer. And so when those hurt sometimes, you're like, gosh. But I mean, you can't blame yourself. You're moving quick. Just keep going. And
and that's why the importance of being competitive, hating to lose, and then just continue to grind and work hard. And know there's going to be times where it doesn't go your way, but if you're working hard and grinding, and you're doing the business the right way, and you're treating people the right way, that over time you're going to have a lot of success. And there's so many people in our business that have these kind of spurts where they go real hard and they get a deal or two and then they slow down. Yeah. And our business doesn't work that way. You got to keep doing deals.
It's long term, and I tell the guys all the time, it's when you're calling on sites, I promise you it won't go unwasted, because
Yeah.
5 years ago when I was calling on sites and still do, those are some deals we're working on this year.
Yeah.
And it's just so cyclical. And, we may have worked on those deals and they just hadn't hit, but then boom, they hit this year. And it's like, wow, been working with that seller for 5 years now. And, it's been cool to watch it, facilitate and become a deal and bring someone to the table. So I think that's one mindset to have is every single site you're calling on, it's not a waste of time. And if you don't have that mindset, you're just going to get mundane and just kind of be in the trenches, especially in a slower market like we are right now.
Yeah.
The work's not going, unnoticed, and it'll pay off. It's just delayed.
Yeah, it can be really delayed. Yeah. I mean, we have stories of deals we worked on 10 years ago that are finally transacting the deal,
right.
So just staying with it. And I think also just treating people right and being honest with them and, telling them the truth. Hey, this isn't a deal right now, but then when you come back and it is a deal, they trust you because you're honest,
right.
All the way through. So
yeah, definitely that too. And then just being upfront with sellers, just being like, this is the pricing they can make work and they can execute at that, almost when you're ready. And we've had sellers stop and say, no, we're not ready. And then, they wait or they tie someone up and they can't get it done. And then they call us back and then it's like, okay, like this is real now. And so we've seen that happen a lot actually this last 6 months because pricing jumped so high. People wanted to get ahead of the curve. They just threw in high offers, tied them up. And then, 5 months later, we're getting a call that's available.
Yeah.
And so then it might be, sometimes it's good to be the second guy in.
Yeah. Or the third guy.
Yeah. Or the third. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about industrial, large acreage, single family, but there's some other pretty interesting projects you guys have been working on. And Derek, I think you did a deal with the Morgan Group in the Heights. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because that was a unique site that you guys worked on.
Definitely. We represented the landlord there, and Morgan Group reached out looking for some sites, and we knew that the owner, wanted to move the site, and he was open to a ground lease type deal, and so they were able to strike some terms and work through that, and I think it's going to be the first Kirby Ice House in the Heights, and it will be, I think, the largest bar in Texas.
Wow, that's cool.
I think the Woodlands location was the largest, and now they're beating the Woodlands location.
Wow,
so,
that's cool.
Super excited for that landowner, and it's funny because the landowner, he was actually the first deal I closed ever in commercial real estate.
Oh wow!
And I was able to rep him on that, and then 5 years later, bring him a really cool project. And so it was cool talking about that relationship and how it's kind of fostered, and he was excited. So
that's cool. We've done so much with Morgan on the multifamily side. It's kind of fun to do something with them that's not multifamily with Kirby Ice House.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a cool project, and I think all of us here are excited to go check
test it out.
Yeah, go check it out.
watch a football game.
Yeah, exactly.
The background behind the Kirby Ice House concept is pretty neat because the sons of Mike Morgan, who his dad is the one that started the Morgan Group, really incredible family background. But the sons saw an opportunity to go start the first Kirby Ice House in the Greenway Plaza area of Houston. So that's why they called it the Kirby Ice House, because of the Kirby Street over there. And it was a large parking lot that was part of an office building that their dad had purchased. And they weren't doing anything with the parking lot. So like, why don't we just open this ice house concept here? And Tim, I'm sure you remember when they opened that. Like, I don't know how many years ago that was, but it just was like the biggest thing in Houston when they opened it. I mean, all the guys that we work with were going there after work, and it was the main place that you would go. And it's amazing because they were just going to have it for like a couple of years. It was the whole concept was, we'll take a parking lot that we're not really generating any revenue from, and we'll just generate some revenue for a little while with this kind of like half indoor, half outdoor concept. And fast forward, now Russ Morgan, who's leading that for the Morgan Group, he's up here in Dallas, and they're doing him up here in Dallas too now. So it's pretty amazing just how they've built that into an entire business line. And Philip now has taken over the Morgan Group from his dad, Mike. And so it's pretty neat to see just the next generation of the Morgan family and what they've been able to do. And they've continued to be like you said, Tim, really successful on the multifamily side. We just closed a deal with them. We actually I just got an email an hour ago that we just put another deal under contract with them up here in Dallas for multifamily. So just neat. It's neat to see these developers that we worked with for probably for you, Tim, almost like 2 decades now that you've been working with that family. And so it's cool to do one of their new concepts and get to be a part of that.
Well, it shows you the strength of just the entrepreneurship, what it takes to be successful as a developer, to go do something that's outside the scope of being a multifamily developer, but be successful at that the way they have been with Kirby Ice House. It just shows that there's a lot of entrepreneurial drive in that family, and it's very impressive.
Well, one of the last times I was with Russ, we were talking about an opportunity up in Plano for Kirby Ice House, and they were leaving to go on a traction retreat. So I think we both, I'm pretty sure, have traction book in our shots right now in our studios. Yeah. But the EOS model of like team building and leadership is an incredible model. And I know that, to your point, Tim, like they've invested a lot in their people. They have some really good people over there, like David Whippy, who we used to work with, 10 years ago. It's a really sharp guy and just a really good team. So I think, like you said, Derek, it's neat for the landowner, and then it's also rewarding for us when we're helping. We build these relationships with developers. When you first get in the business, you don't realize how well you're going to get to know people, and you'll be meeting with them for decades and doing deals together. And I'm having lunch with the guy after our recording today that I don't think I've ever actually closed a deal with. Tim knows who I'm talking about. And, but still, he's a good friend. And I meet with him, every quarter, and we talk about when's he going to actually do a deal, but it's fun. Like, you build relationships, and that's really more important than the deals at the end of the day, because you follow these guys as they grow in their careers. And I think we see ourselves as just an extension of them and their teams on the buyer rep side and their whole execution plan.
Definitely. I think that's right. And, just starting to, in the business and being able to see young guys grow and, get married, start families, and just be a part of their success. It's been really cool.
Well, as we kind of wrap up, is there anything else that you guys want to hit?
We haven't really hit yet the other use types. I think we kind of gently cover retail there, but do you want to get into the single family space? So where do you see on the multifamily side, Derek? I know we mentioned that things were starting off feeling really good early in the year, and then, like you said, we've actually had a lot of deals across the Houston market that have fallen out on the multifamily side. Groups couldn't get capital. So how are you seeing that market right now?
Yeah, and we were talking about that a little bit this week. It's been interesting because, like you mentioned, beginning of the year was so much positivity, and we were actually, that was our prime focus, multifamily, and we were chasing a lot of deals, and we were able to put a lot in title, and some are still moving forward. Some have terminated just because of the capital. And the ones that are still alive are well located, high barriers to entry, just strong legacy deals, strong submarkets. And I think that shows you exactly now what the groups are going to focus on, the deals that are still alive. And so that's what we're chasing. And it's got to be a story, and it has to be good basis, well located, strong rents. No one's out there chasing subpar sites, or, just average, because they know it's not going to get capitalized, or if they can't get the time they need, it's probably not going to happen. And so we've had some really good sites fall out, but I mean, they'll come back. It's just a matter of tracking them. And but we've got some really good sites in the pipeline too that are going to, we all think are going to do really well. For our group. So.
Yeah, I think a big thing has just been the quality of the sponsor. There's been a pretty narrow group of developers, or small number of developers, who can actually get deals capitalized, and they've continued to be aggressive and do deals. Even some of those groups have had to drop deals, though, because there are certain submarkets that have gotten, rents have softened, there's some supply. And so that'll be interesting to watch as well, because there are some soft spots in different parts of town. The infill market has been extremely quiet still. Yeah. I mean, we haven't really seen very much at all on the infill side.
Yeah, very, very little infill activity. And if it is, it's really low basis compared to what's happened. And so, we're working on a few of the deals in the Heights right now, and they're just good bases. And so I think, there hasn't been a huge push for it, but at the same time, if it's a really good deal, there's some groups that are out there that, like, they'll hold on to it for a while and go perform on it. We've made a few strong infill offers in Q1, if you remember a couple of those, and it just timing wasn't right. And I think they'll come back around. And I think it's just a matter of sellers too. They know that properties, it's valuable, and if the market takes a turn, you're talking 20-30% increase in land price potentially. Off the bat. So I think they're on the hold for that.
Well, that's a challenge, I think, in general with land. People assume, well, developers come to us all the time, and they're like, that this is where it underwrites. It underwrites at 50% of what the seller wants, so that's the price. And it's like a lot of these sellers just wait. If they have to wait 5 years, they wait 5 years. I mean, we don't see, and there are exceptions. There's people that they need to sell, and they're motivated, and they go sell wherever the market is today. But so often you have very patient sellers that are just willing to wait it out. And especially in the infill market, you see that all the time. They'll wait 10 or 15 years if they have to.
For sure. Someone was joking about it the other day. They were just talking about Houston land sellers and how patient they are. They're like, sometimes when the market's slow, they don't sell. It doesn't matter. And so we're like, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of, they're all patient, but at the same time, if they see a good deal, they're going to jump on it. But I think that comes back to us and our knowledge, and just, helping sell it and share, what's happening in the market too. And just sometimes educate some sellers that, may not be too aware of what's happening, and show them, just open the book to them and just be truthful and honest, because that's helped a ton too.
And finding sellers that have motivation, that are willing, that need to sell right now, want to sell right now, and they want to get, the best they can get today. And then you have the people who are like, hey, I want twice where the market is. And it's like, that's fine. Let's keep talking. We'll do a deal in 5 years. Like that's, if that's what you want to do, we have no problem with that. But it's not a deal today.
Right. And it all turns back to, what to focus on.
That's right.
And spend time on. So it's important.
Well, and I think we know, like you said, Derek, that it's going to come back, because at the beginning of the year, NMHC, the big national multi-housing conference that's every year in January, everything I've heard from that conference was that Houston was like the #1 market for multifamily, because the fundamentals, the lack of supply, the population growth, the jobs, is like there's no way that Houston can sustain not adding more apartments. And so it hasn't happened as quickly as we thought. But I know you and your team you're staying very close to all these really active, strong developers that will be the first ones back into the market when there is capital. And I think Houston will go through another one of these waves again, where they're going to need a lot of supply, because pretty quickly it's, you're going to get to the point where you just can't sustain the size of that city without building more apartments every year.
Yeah, and pretty much, I think all use types are like that. I think, in my career, being here in Houston now for the last, 20 plus years, it's a very cyclical market. I feel like Dallas has been much more of a consistent, growth market. I'm sure that there's downturns there and things slow down and speed up and stuff. But Houston, we've had, just these times of incredible growth where it's like a boom town, and then these times where it just really slows down. And unfortunately, the last 3 years now, with rates being up, it's just been a big headwind. And there's been deals to be done. We've gotten a lot of deals closed, but it's been a lot more challenging than it has been at times when things were just, everybody wanted a Houston deal and there was a lot of capital for Houston. So I'm hoping that we're on the verge of that coming back in the next 12 months.
Well, guys, that's probably a good place to wrap it up for today. I think that was a good conversation. And Derek, I appreciate you being on just to talk about what you're seeing in some of these deals.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. That was awesome. Good. Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and if you're listening, Derek runs our buyer rep team in Houston, and we are working, on a lot of these different product types like he talked about. And so reach out to him with questions about opportunities. And then, like I said, Tim runs really the listing side of the business in Houston and working with landowners there. So reach out to Tim to talk about that.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
Thank you for listening to our podcast today. If you have questions about land you own in Texas, send us an email at texaslandguys@dmre.com and follow us on LinkedIn to stay updated.